Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the invite, Kath. I'm glad to be here. My name is Michael Bayne. I'm the manager at the Borders Machinery Ring in Galashiels. I'm here to just give you a bit more of a steer on what Machinery Ring's about, where they've come from, the history of them, and how we help our members cooperate in the Scottish Border. I'll start with what is a Machinery Ring. A Machinery Ring is a farmer-owned co-op, a group of members, and it's run for their advantage. So like Stephen touched on, we're not a commercial company, we're there for the member benefit. And the purpose is to improve member profitability by providing services which reduce cost, improve efficiency, asset utilisation and manage risk. Quite a mouthful, but hopefully I'll give you a bit of an idea how we do that within our membership. Borders Machinery Ring started in 1987. It was the first ring in the UK, and it came about after the bad harvest of 1985. There was a real disaster weather-wise, and 23 farmers got together in Kelso and decided to set up the Borders Machinery Ring with the sole aim of reducing fixed costs by sharing labour and machinery. There's now, from 87, where there was 23 guys got together, there's now 9 rings in Scotland. The Borders Ring now has 915 members. And in Scotland, we have 9 rings with a combined membership of about 7,000 members, with a combined turnover probably nearing £70 million now of business throughput. As time's gone on, the rings have evolved. So in the early days, it was machinery hire, contracting, really sharing those costs, sharing them out. But since we've developed, we've gone into labour supply. There's less full-time members of staff on farms now. So we try and encourage labour sharing, member-to-member labour, and it's all about getting the most of the assets on one farm. So underutilised machinery and labour on one farm can be moved to the other at certain times of the year. Training courses, big part of our business now. In the winter time, we're Lantra registered, and we offer mainly legislative training, such as forklift courses, spraying, chainsaw, and we do management training as well. Farm supplies, as the rings have grown, we've obviously got a lot more in terms of members' numbers, so we've got that buying power to negotiate good deals. A big part of the rings business in Scotland is fuel purchase. We do a daily tender of fuel where it's one phone call to the ring office, and we go out there and get the best price for our members. And save them a substantial amount of money. I mean, we constantly see members who are tied into one company, through history or through loyalty to one. They can be paying up to 8 pence a litre more, which is a significant cost over the course of a year. Other things we do, fencing supplies, building materials. We've got accounts with lots of different building suppliers. So again, it's using that bulk power to get the best deal for our members, and it's one phone call to the ring office. Utilities, I'll come on to that. We link up with another company called Anglia Farmers down in the south, so they've got specialist teams that deal with that. And more recently, renewables and woodland management. In the past few years, government introduced feed-in tariffs and renewable heat incentives, and we found that our members were coming to us for guidance on what they could do on their own farms. There was a lot of companies suddenly started up and were experts in installing photovoltaics or biomass boilers, and there was nobody really being independent and could give our members guidance. So we did a project with Scottish Enterprise and the local council to take someone on and do resource analysis and woodland management audits and things like that as well. So it was really just to remain neutral. How can a machinery ring help its members? Well, the basic one is an access to a vast pool of machinery and labour. We have a central office, and we hold a database of what members demand and what members can offer to the membership. When a member joins up, they give us a list of the labour and the machinery they can offer to the pool, and we code that up in our database. And whenever there is a request for that service, we do a code search, and it will bring up the closest member to that particular demander, and we can match them up. So it gives a more efficient utilisation of existing machinery to the person that's supplying the machines, and the additional income to the business. So it's better utilisation of that asset, as Stephen touched on before. For the farmer that doesn't have all the machinery, it means that peak seasonal demand can be met, They don't need to own every part of every machine. They can concentrate on a few machines and get the expertise and the technology in through other members. It used to be that every farm had their own kit for every operation on the farm. The sheer cost of changing machines now is making that unviable for your traditional family farm. So they'll concentrate on having some bits of kit, and they'll use ring members to come in when they require other bits and pieces. It allows them to get access to new technology, so GPS soil mapping, yield mapping, where on their own it wouldn't be viable to have that investment on machinery. They can get the latest bit of kit in when required and keep up to date with that technology, such as precision farming. Having access to that database and the membership gives them backup. So if there is a member of staff off sick, they're one phone call away and we can find them a backup member of staff. Same with machines. If there's a breakdown, we can do a search and get a machine in quickly from a supplier. There is still plenty of capacity of machinery out there. A lot of people worry about getting rid of machinery. What happens if I can't get it when it's needed? When the ring first started in 1987, machinery was a lot smaller. The capacity was much smaller. You're talking about 2 metre, 3 metre drills. We're now up to kit 6, 8 metres wide. So when there is a narrow weather window now, the kit can cope much better with that narrow weather window. So there's plenty of kit there, and nobody should be worried about not getting a baler when they need it. There's plenty of capacity there. I've touched on the discounts. Again, bulk purchase. We club together with other co-ops and other rings to do deals on fertiliser, feed, fencing materials. So again, it's one phone call to the ring office and we can get discounts on their farm supplies. Our database is also linked into automated banking, so all our members are on direct debit, and it's an automated payment system. So from the demander's point of view, it's very simple. They don't need to worry about writing checks. Once they've had a service through the ring, the supplier sends the invoice into the ring office. We create a self-billing invoice. The money is direct debited from the member's account and then automatically paid into the person who's done the work. So it automates things, and it takes that administration out of the equation completely. It also takes the friction out of the transaction as well. If you've got two neighbours working together and they're trying to weigh up who's owed people what, just put it through the ring office and it can be taken care of quite quickly. So we're really trying to push the machinery rings as a management tool for our members. We're there to save them money, reduce risk and increase resilience. And as Stephen touched on, the volatility of the markets means that really we are an option to try and help that nowadays. This is one of the tools we use to try and work out the true cost of owning a machine compared to getting somebody in to do the work. And this example is a round baler looking at the cost, the purchase cost, and how many bales, how much work you really need for that machine to actually justify owning that machine on the farm. I've used a baler as an example because it's quite a difficult one. Some farms would say that it's essential to have a baler on farm. If you get a narrow weather window and the straw gets wet, then that's a much bigger loss than saving 200 or 300 quid a year. But again, there is plenty of capacity of kit out there at the moment and people looking for work. So we've never struggled to get a baler when required yet. But this particular example, it basically shows that the purchase price of the baler at 30,000, over 5 years, you've got your fixed costs there, including finance and depreciation. Getting rid of it after 5 years has given you an annual fixed cost of about £4,700. What we've done then is look at if you're baling 1,000, 2,500 or 3,000 bales, what that fixed cost per bale is. So you can see the farmer that's just baling 1,000 bales with that machine, his fixed cost per bale is £4.76. You then add in the actual variable costs, so the cost of the tractor and the man. Tractor and man put in there at £25 an hour, which is a fairly realistic market rate at the moment. Spares and repairs is a standard percentage of the average price, and the net wrap at 50p a bale. So you're coming at a total there of £5.83 a bale if you're only doing 1,000 bales a year. Compare that to bringing a contractor in through the ring at roughly £2 a bale. once you get up to 3,000 odd bales, you're getting a bit narrower, the margin's a bit narrower, but there's still significant savings to be getting someone in to do that work at these numbers. And it's surprising how many small family farms will have their own baler doing these level of bales. And what you can see at the end is that the break even is to make that machine pay, you're having to do over 5,000 bales in a year. I've given an example there, 7 bales an acre of straw. You're looking at 731 acres of straw baling a year to warrant that machine. Now again, there is an argument that some people feel comfortable having that machine. They want to get the straw baled when it's ready, but there's plenty out there and they can be bought in an emergency. So hopefully that shows you. And we use this as a bit of a tool. We can go out to our members and show them if there's somebody thinking about buying a new machine, we can plug the figures in and give them a guide of what the true cost of that investment is going to be. Training, I've touched on, that's a list of training courses that we offer. We mainly legislative courses. We've seen a big increase in the spraying courses this year with the change to the grandfather rights has been ruled out, so there's been a bit of a rush on for that. And this also gives opportunities for members for extra income as well. There's potential for being training instructors. There's a real shortage at the moment, and we're trying to encourage some of our members to actually become training instructors because there's an opportunity there. Woodland management, I mentioned before, this was a project we got involved in just when the RHI renewable heat incentive was introduced a few years ago. What we worked out was that there was a wood fuel supply chain there at the moment. A lot of undermanaged woodlands on farms that was just unviable to go anywhere near. Traditionally, small woodlands, steep, awkward to get in at. It was just too expensive to extract that woodland in the past. Then the renewable heat incentive came in and there was a demand for biomass, which created a base in the marketplace. So all of a sudden it was viable to go back into small farm woodlands and look at extracting that wood, sell the valuable stuff and chip or log the lower value end. And what we discovered within the membership of the machinery ring, we had all the elements of the supply chain. We had members and farms and estates with undermanaged woodland. We had farmers with spare sheds that could act as storage capacity. One of the key things with wood fuel is you don't want to transport it too far because it's so uneconomic. You know, a ton of chip is 4 cubic meters, so it's expensive to haul. We had contractors that had the machinery to get in and extract it, and they were also looking for opportunities to diversify as well. And we had the heat market. Farmers were looking, they had the RHI incentive there, and they were looking at heating their buildings, either farmhouses or their cottages with district heat systems. So we pulled all that together, and we've built the kind of the supply chain within the ring membership, and it's created a demand for chip at one end, and we've also done a lot of woodland audits and woodland management plans with farmers that are wanting to start managing their woodland. And all that's been done through the ring. It's created the work for ring members that can offer the service, and it's added value to the farmers who have got the woodland on their land. We also have got involved with the local authority, Scottish Borders Council. So again, it's offering extra work to members through the winter time when they're a bit quieter. Back in 2010, we had a really bad winter 2 years in a row. Down in the Borders, we had a foot of snow fell overnight, and the week before we'd spoken to the council to say that we had members with spare capacity of snow ploughs, forklifts for clearing snow. They said they weren't interested, they could cope themselves. A week later we had that huge fall of snow and they phoned and said we're needing help, and we did over £100,000 worth of work for our members that winter, and it was supplying farmers with farmers were supplying in snow ploughs, forklifts and trailers to clear large accumulations of snow in the town centres. And it was guys that had the capacity, had the machinery and had time to go out and do that. So it gave the council a get out of jail card hopefully, it helped them raise their capacity a bit, and it gave farmers extra income. The council liked it because it was one point of contact, so rather than having lots of different invoices coming in from farmers in the area, it was collated through the machinery ring office. We cross-checked the timesheets with the council and they got one bill. prior to that, they used to get dribs and drabs of invoices coming in from individual farmers, and they weren't sure if they'd been authorised or anything. So it gives that sort of control and point of contact. In the last few years, we've got involved with a new biogas plant at Childsfield. Again, renewables, and it's created a new income opportunity for farmers. This is a biomethane plant using energy crops as feedstock. So all the feedstock is coming from farms round about St Boswell's, usually within about a 12-mile radius. And there's no green waste or waste products from councils going into this at all. It's all farm feedstock. This was mooted about 4 years ago when wheat was about £200 a tonne, and getting farmer interest then was quite difficult. But we persevered, and we got a group together that was showing interest, and it got commissioned last year. It's taken in about 30,000 tonnes of feedstock a year, using 90 tonnes a day, and puts gas back into the national grid rather than electricity, so they get paid the RHI. Cropping area, you're looking mainly hybrid rye, whole crop, and a bit of energy beet and grass silage as well. And what that's done, we spoke about risk earlier on, it's given farmers another outlet for their crops. In a market at the moment where all cereals are down, it's given them another opportunity to put feedstock or a crop into something that's paying. So again, just spreading that risk, taking care of that volatility. And what's happening now is there's potentially scope to increase the plant size, and there's actually farmers knocking on their door now looking to supply rather than saying it's not worth it. So just helps spread that risk a bit. So the services provided through the ring, we do all the contract field work, all the billing and invoicing and paperwork's taken care of through the ring office. Again, it's one point of contact for the biogas plant, and the contractors doing the work send their invoices in, and it's all collated through our office and done through the automated payment system. We've had plant hire into the plant. We've supplied labour in during the construction and the actual operations of the plant. We've had training courses. We supply fuel, fencing. So it's had a big impact on the local area. You know, there was a bit of debate whether it would actually happen or whether it should happen. But now it's there. Everybody's quite pleased to see it working. It's created a lot of investment into the area. We also cooperate with other co-ops. We don't try and do everything ourselves. Again, we try and go for the scale. We've worked with a company called Anglia Farmers down in the southeast of England for a number of years now. Started off really just working with chemicals, chemical buying group. They have a national buying group. So by Borders Machinery Ring being a member of Anglia Farmers, that gives our members access to the Anglia Farmers deals. So our members don't need to join Anglia. They just have their subscription for ourselves, and it gives them access to chemicals, electricity, bulk and bottled gas, mobile phone and spare parts are the main areas that we look at. So again, rather than us reinvent the wheel, we can bolt on to the good deals they're already getting down there. They've got dedicated teams that work with electricity, mobile phones, so rather than us try and learn about these markets, they're dealing with that every day, so we leave that to them, and they get back very quickly with quotes. And we've got a lot of our members getting their utilities and these services through Anglia Farmers now. We also work closely with the other Scottish machinery rings. We have an association. We share a stand at the Highland Show. We work with the same computer system, designed and maintained by Farm Data up in Inverurie. But we also get together and do schemes such as the Toyota deal. We have a deal with Toyota Fleet UK. So there's deals on the table where members can save the Hilux, for example, up to 17% off the list price. So again, being a member of the ring, they're getting price benefits there. We also have a deal with Case International. This is a rebate scheme. So again, if you're a member of the Scottish rings, you can do your deal with your Case dealer locally, buy the tractor or combine of your choice. Doesn't affect the deal you do with your local dealer, but because you're a ring member, you get an additional rebate back. So down the right hand side there, you can see from the basic tractor, you're getting a minimum of £640 back, up to a combine £3,000 back. So again, it pays the ring subscription for a few years. That key for a ring is communication with the members. We have to let our members know what we're doing. I think a lot of people still think we're just machinery and labour. but we're much more than that. We've evolved into a buying group and a real management tool. So the majority of our work is still done on the phones. You know, we're on the end of the phone, but more nowadays we're looking at websites, e-newsletters, texting, and we're currently designing an app so that members can be sitting in the field in their tractor, fill in their timesheet and get it sent into the office and it's processed straight away. So again, keeping up with the technology and making it easy for our members to work with us. Stephen touched on this in his, at the end of his presentation. I think there's definitely cooperation happening out there, but there's a change of mindset required. And this is a slide from a German co-op. Machinery Ring started in Germany about 50 years ago, and it makes sense on paper, but one of the biggest challenges is actually getting people to work together. And if those farmers around the table can't see eye to eye or come to some arrangement, then that's the biggest challenge. But once you get that cracked, then there's huge savings to be made. And we are seeing a lot of smaller groups of farmers now coming to us to work together with us, and whether it's doing their billing or doing machinery costings, really looking at the costs and the awareness that the markets are so volatile just now. Co-ops are giving them a tool to use and make it possible. So hopefully that's given you a bit of a background of what the machinery rings are doing, and I'd be happy to take questions.
Thank you very much.